The honourable member for South Surrey, White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will be sharing my time with the member for Thornhill. The Russians are ready for war with Ukraine and have the elements of 10 combined arms and tank armies surrounding Ukraine's borders. The Russians say they are normal troop deployments and they are not looking to invade Ukraine. They said the same things in 2014 before they seized Crimea and the Donbass. With Georgia in 2008, they said that their military buildup was a war game, and they took the northern part of the country by storm. This time we know different about Russian President Vladimir Putin's claims. Typically, only 3 Russian armies are stationed opposite Ukraine, and now we are seeing units from 6 other combined arms armies and the main strike force of the Western Military District, the 1st Guards Tank Army, move within miles of the Russian-Ukrainian border. More Russian troops have been sent to Belarus, along with fighter aircraft to both deter NATO and to threaten a northern invasion march on Kiev. Belarus's army is on a heightened state of alert and ready to join Russia in battle. Russian forces in Transnistria have also been built up. Between 5 and 6 large Russian amphibious ships are on the way to the Black Sea with naval infantry. Smaller amphibious craft are coming by road. Russian pipeline troops have been deployed forward to establish fuel hubs for their armored forces. The Russian Navy is engaged in war games in the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean and the North, Baltic, and Black Seas. Russia's strategic rocket forces are in war games on a heightened state of alert and dispersed. And blood has been sent to Russian field hospitals, the last thing that happens before they become battle ready. Blood is such a precious commodity that we use colored water in exercises. My husband and children are part Ukrainian. My heart is with that vulnerable democracy and its people. My heart is with the men, women, and families of Canadian armed forces that may be put in harm's way. The US, UK, and other NATO states are ready to deploy forces to deter the Russian and Belarusian aggressors. So what about Canada? In 2019, the Prime Minister announced in London Canada's contribution to NATO's High Readiness Force. Canada's total commitment to the NATO Readiness Initiative includes 12 CF-18 fighter jets, an expeditionary air task force, a maritime patrol aircraft, 3 frigates, a submarine, a mechanized infantry battalion, a mobile hospital, and a platoon for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense. Right now, in the face of unprecedented Russian aggression against Ukraine and hybrid warfare directed at Poland and the Baltic states through their proxy, Belarus, we have a 550-person force in Estonia helping to train and protect that vulnerable NATO state. We have 200 trainers in Ukraine with a couple hundred more maybe on their way and a small special forces detachment. And the minister just announced that they are moving out of harm's way west of the Dnieper River. We have 1 warship, HMCS Montreal, in transit to the Black Sea and 1 being made ready in Halifax. The government has watched the Russian military build up in real terms since the bad 2021 in September. We have had months to put together a robust list of both non-lethal and lethal aid to support Ukraine. It may not be a NATO member state, but it is surely a NATO ally. At this stage, we should be supplying lethal defensive aid to help this fledgling democracy stand up to the bully of Central and Eastern Europe in Vladimir Putin. As well, the cyber defensive capabilities in our communication strategy establishment should be leveraged to help Ukraine. As well, Canadians' signals intelligence could be invaluable to monitoring Russian interactions. The satellite intelligence from RadarSat would be most helpful in tracking troop movements. The Canadian Armed Forces can provide training in a much wider range of lethal combat skills than they are doing now. And Canada should start as quick as Ukraine can accommodate extra help. Even a maritime patrol aircraft to monitor Russian actions in the Black Sea and Baltic would be helpful at this point. Sorry, am I out of time, Madam Speaker? Can I just say my last sentence then? If Canadians care at all about democracy, if we care about freedom and sovereignty, we must care about it everywhere.
Thank you. I did try to provide signals, but questions and comments, questions et commentaires. The Honourable Member for London Fanshawe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the honourable colleague and my colleague on the Defence Committee for her contribution tonight. I wanted to ask her, we've talked a lot about this in the House in terms of the failure of the Liberal government to provide leadership for the women, especially but both men and women in the armed forces, and the toll that this has taken on retention, on recruitment of those armed forces. So as we talk about an additional stress of, which I agree with entirely, to expand the Operation Unifier, but maybe we could talk about, and she could address, the additional stresses that this is going to put on the men and women in our armed forces. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for South Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to my colleague for her question. And of course, this is a crucial issue within our Canadian Armed Forces right now, one which Madam Justice Arbour is tasked with to look at further recommendations, because the earlier recommendations were not all put in place, and we are looking for further insights there. We need more personnel in the Canadian Armed Forces, and retention and recruitment are a huge issue. But we do have serving men and women who are trained, and we do know that they can do even more to help train in Ukraine and in vulnerable democracies like Ukraine, who we should, as I said, they may not be part of NATO, at least yet, but they're surely a NATO ally. Thanks.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires? Oh, the Honourable Member for Etobicoke.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I'm wondering if I appreciated the member's remarks, and I'm wondering if she could speak to, one of the things that the government has done over the past number of years is impose sanctions on a range of individuals and entities who've either violated human rights or contributed to violating Ukraine's sovereignty. We know that in Crimea, for example, there are tremendous human rights abuses against the Crimean Tatars by the now occupying Russian forces and administrations. Democracy is being repressed, etc. So sanctions have been imposed for a number of reasons on Russian officials and entities. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the role of sanctions going forward, and if you believe sanctions are needed, are there particular groups of folks or types of folks that you believe should be sanctioned?
And I just want to remind the Honourable Member that he's to address all questions and comments through the Chair. The Honourable Member for South Surrey White Rock.
Well, thank you for your question. And of course, sanctions, I believe, do work. And diplomacy usually works. But we are dealing with a very aggressive country that has decided that in their interests, whatever they deem them to be, that Ukraine is part of their going forward. And diplomacy should always come first, and sanctions along with diplomacy absolutely are a deterrent. But offering Ukraine every support short of assistance, I suggest, is not good enough. We have to stand stronger with Ukraine and democracy.
Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de...
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Brief question. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank my colleague for her speech. I'm just piggybacking on the question from the NDP because she sits with Seth on the committee. Cybersecurity, obviously, is very important against countries like Russia. Does my colleague share with me the opinion that it's so important to have a better cybersecurity, a response to cybersecurity for ourselves, but also to share with allies?
Member for South Surrey White Rock.
Thank you to my colleague, and I absolutely agree. It's essential. And you may have noticed that the Russians shut down a lot of Ukraine's cyber abilities before stepping up even further with aggression. So this is a part of modern warfare. And it's something that's going on all the time by aggressor states, and we need to do more to be alive to it, monitor it, and prevent it. Thank